If the 2025 NFL MVP was based on data, this would be your top 10, and I'm telling you, you're not going to believe the top 5. All right, we will kick things off at number 10. Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville Jaguars, led the team to a 13-4 record, which was second in the NFL, threw for 4,007 yards and 29 touchdowns. At number 9, Sam Darnold, Seattle Seahawks, league-leading record 14-3, threw for 4,048 yards and 25 touchdowns. At number 8, C.J. Stroud, Houston Texans, not an overly impressive record at 9-5 as a starter, but threw for 3,041 yards and 19 touchdowns in 14 games. At number 7, Detroit Lions, Jared Goff, 9-8 record, 4,564 yards and 34 touchdowns, were second in the NFL in both categories. At number 6, Dak Prescott, 7-10 record for the Cowboys, not overly impressive, but did throw for 4,552 yards and 30 touchdowns. All right, break time before we start on the top 5. I wanted to share with you the metrics that I selected to determine who the 2025 NFL MVP should be. Okay, the first thing that I looked at was completed air yards per pass attempt. I wanted to credit quarterbacks that actually pushed the ball down the field instead of dinking and dunking and letting their receivers do all the work. Next up was EPA per play, or expected points added. Without going into any great detail, this is basically a scoring metric that takes into account efficiency. Next up, I pulled in the passer rating, which really just looks at 4 key metrics: completion percentage, yards per attempt, touchdown percentage, and interception percentage. Next up, even though I just mentioned it in passer rating, I pulled in completion percentage again. This, to me, is such a critical metric to the effectiveness of a quarterback that I wanted to make sure it stood out as one of the top metrics that I looked at. And finally, along those lines, as one of the bottom metrics that I don't think is a true indication of a great quarterback, I looked at wins. The reason that I baked this in was because it's what the NFL does. I didn't necessarily agree with the 2024 MVP selection, but I think because Josh Allen had one more win than Lamar Jackson, that maybe that was the deciding factor, so I added wins into the equation. So without sharing the weighting, it's time to get back at it. All right, at number 5, I bet you thought he wasn't going to make the list. Patrick Mahomes, 6-8 as a starter, 3,587 yards and 22 touchdowns in 14 games. At number 4, a surprise, Josh Allen, 12-5 with the Bills this year, 3,668 yards and 25 touchdowns. At number 3, maybe even a bigger surprise, Matthew Stafford, 12-5 record, led the league in both yards and touchdowns with 4,707 and 46. And who in the heck is number 2, you might ask? Jordan Love, according to the metrics, 9-4 and 1 as a starter, 3,381 yards and 23 touchdowns in 15 games. And that takes us to number 1. Who is the true NFL MVP 2025 according to the data? Drake May, New England Patriots, league leading 14 wins, are actually tied for the league lead, 4,394 yards and 31 touchdowns. All right, so there you have it, the top 10 NFL quarterbacks of 2025, including the data-driven results for the MVP. Now, of course, there's other positions that could vie for the MVP title, but in 2024, we had Saquon Barkley with a historic running back year, and we had Jamar Chase with a historic wide receiver year. Neither one of them won the MVP, so my thought is it's just going to be a quarterback. That's the way the NFL looks at it. So for this, I only considered quarterbacks. So what did you think of that top 5? I thought number 3 was a shock. Number 2 blew me away. Number 1 wasn't much of a surprise. Now going into this, I will admit that I would have thought Matthew Stafford would have ranked number 1 simply because of the yards passing and the touchdowns, and he may still win the MVP. But according to the data, Drake May is your 2025 NFL MVP.